Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show, and welcome to another edition of College Football Showdown, baby. And yes, sir, I am here with my main man, Matt James, and hopefully my mother main man, Christian Simpson, my regular, can join us here soon. But we are 15 days away from college football, from week one of college football, ladies and gentlemen, as college football season starts. Week one at 8:26, but we have a lot here to cover today. Won't be too long, but please, before we start the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And in case you missed this live feed, you can catch us here on all platforms where podcasts can be heard. That's Apple Music, Apple, Samsung, Amazon Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, ladies and gentlemen. But Matt James, what is going on with you today? What is the good word here, ladies and gentlemen?
Can't get any better. 2 weeks away. Here on break at work, but I'm excited for some football. It is absolutely the most wonderful time of the year. So whether it be professional, high school, or college football, baby.
Definitely college football. We got a lot to cover. I know you got a little bit of time here before you have to cut out and hear my guy Christian. What's going on, Christian? You show up just right on time, like Superman shows up for Lois Lane, baby.
Yeah, you are. Look, it's what we do. That's all.
Well, this is gonna be the shorter show that we usually have. This season to start the season. I know me and Christian did a little preview like a month ago, previewing the Heisman, previewing the conference a little bit, and previewing week one a little bit. Yeah, I can hear you, Christian. But I just want to start off here with the conference realignment. So big things popping here. A lot of big players moving around. So basically the biggest domino to fall. Well, a long time ago, the big dominoes to fall or to leave a conference, it's all started with the SEC, right? With Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. And then the big dominoes, right? I wouldn't say the big dominoes, but the big dominoes of the Pac-12 just created a landslide, right? USC and UCLA, well, really USC, once they announced that they were going to go to the Big Ten, UCLA announced with them that they were going to the Big Ten. And then a couple weeks later or so, Washington and Oregon decided we're going to leave for the Big Ten effective in 2024. And then when it comes to the Big 12, we already have BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF all joining the Big 12 conference this season. And they'll expand to 14 teams. I mean, they'll add 4 more schools in 2024, 4 Pac-12 schools in Arizona, ASU. Shout out to Matt James, that's his school. Colorado and Utah. And then the Pac-12, they're going to remain with 12 teams in 2023, but they're only going to have 4 teams left over in 2024. That's Cal, Oregon State, Stanford, and Washington State. Pretty much like the scraps of the Pac-12 are left over there. So what does this mean for the college football landscape, guys?
When number one, I don't like it. And the reason why I don't care for it so much is because, it takes away from what we know as the traditions in college football. You know what I'm saying? Like, just think about it. So let's paint a hypothetical here. Let's say this is the Auburn decides to move to the Big 12. The Iron Bowl may not happen anymore. They'll probably discontinue that. And everybody knows the Iron Bowl is played when? The last week of the season during rivalry week. Or let's paint a bigger hypothetical here. Let's look at Ohio State and Michigan. Let's say Ohio State, they leave for the ACC. We're not going to get the game at the end of the year. So, I just feel for the everyday college football fan. And these rivalries are being shattered. And Nick Saban echoed my sentiments the other day.
Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the tradition has definitely left pretty much completely. But, I mean, Florida State's been playing. They've been out of conference every week. So, I mean, those kind of rivalry games at the end of the week could still happen. But from my perspective, as Izzy brought up, being ASU guy my whole life, the Rose Bowl's gone. Pac-10, Big Ten, Pac-12, Big Ten. You know, that's
Yeah.
diminished over the years, but
Mhm.
it's completely gone now. So
Pretty much.
things like
That's a
that
good
is
point, Matt.
kind of huge, you know, to tradition, as you brought up there, Christian, and the fact that teams are going to travel a whole lot more now across the country. I mean, USC, UCLA had to play Penn State, Rutgers, all the way on the East Coast.
Well, I would think.
Through the years,
This
I
is what
mean, at least one of the teams they had to play.
this is what I think, though. I think that you're gonna see. I don't think you're gonna see, and it's crazy because Christian brought it up too. I don't think you're gonna see Ohio State and Michigan
Mm.
on the same side. I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see those two teams split up. I think the East, I think you're going to see more of the teams like in Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota. Those teams are going to play all those Pac-12 schools like USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon. They're going to play those schools because they're geographically closer. And then I think you got your Ohio State, going to be playing with Penn State, and you got your Wisconsins. They're going to be playing Penn State, Rutgers, yada yada yada, on their side of the spectrum. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a whole makeup with East and West in the Big Ten. Now let's not get this twisted. This is all about money.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
This is all about money.
1,000%.
This is all about the Fox Sports. This is all about TV deals. This is all about that. This isn't about we don't want to go against tradition. They want to keep tradition. They want to keep tradition. That's why the big players are moving to the Big Ten, because they want to keep some of that tradition. But it's all about the money. And what are we seeing now in college football with the NIL deals? The whole landscape's changing. The whole college football is changing. It's turning from like college amateurish, college pro athlete to not college pro athlete, but it's turning from student athlete to almost like these guys are being they're being groomed
Paid
to
interns.
be pro athletes, paid interns. Yeah. They're being groomed faster to be paid athletes, and I don't blame it. But now the schools are like, okay, so these guys are transfer portal, and we got to find a way how we're gonna get some extra dough here. And I don't, the Pac-12 is most of these guys, they're leaving because of the money, and that's just here. That's just facts right there. That's the biggest culprit of this.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree anymore. But my thing, it's just going to be interesting to see because, seeing USC has to go to potentially, Penn State in early November, where the weather's going to be a little more brisk, Izzy, as we like to say. It's going to be a little bit cooler. Seeing a team like Oregon play Ohio State now, having to go to the big house, or even having to see teams like Michigan and Ohio State and Michigan State have to go to Eugene, and Autzen Stadium is one of the toughest places to play in the country.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting. So I guess that leads to my next question. Pac-12, they're only going to have 4 teams left over in the 2024 because we already know that 4 more teams left. Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, all left to the Big 12. And it makes sense, right? Geographically, those 4 teams make sense going to the Big 12. Geographically, they all make sense. So what does this mean for the Pac-12? Are they going to survive this realignment, or is the Pac-12 dead pretty much?
They're done. It's just a matter of where they go. I mean, some of them might have to dip into something like the Mountain West, maybe. I mean, ACC, Stanford got declined by them. And I mean, the other schools are having trouble trying to find a conference. They're going to have to just, back down and go into someone like the Big 12 that wasn't their first choice, or maybe the Mountain West, as I said. So, I mean, they got to get somewhere. You can't be they're going to turn into independents at some point. You can't be a 4-man conference.
Yeah. Christian.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I don't see how the Pac-12 survives this. You might as well just call it the Pac-4 at this particular moment. But it's almost sad because, man, I've known the Pac-12 to have some memories. USC during the Pete Carroll days of Matt Leinart, Carson
Mhm.
Palmer, Reggie Bush, Lendell White, Oregon, with Chip Kelly and them getting to a national championship the first year, we were introduced to the college football playoff. USC kind of coming back to relevance last year. Caleb Williams winning that Heisman and Lincoln Riley just doing what he does. And yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting, but I think, in 2 or 3 years, I think this is going to be something that everybody is used to.
Oh yeah, and it's turned into 2 super conferences pretty much in the Big 12, right? You got the SEC, who pretty much they don't really need to add anybody, but they add Texas and Oklahoma, and then you have the Big 10, pretty much. So this thing has turned into the 2 super conferences. We all seen it coming, I mean, this is going to happen in basketball, and I think the next conference that we're going to see some teams going to is the ACC, right? We're going to start to see maybe Notre Dame. We're going to start to see teams of that nature going to the ACC. I think the ACC will have some teams going there. So just crazy stuff in the college football landscape here. And it's just this is just historic. This is a historic moment in a historic time for college football. And it's happening on the eve, 2 weeks away or a month away from week 1 here. And so moving forward to the coaches poll. The coaches poll came out August 7th, a few days ago this week. So this is the first time the coaches polls come out. So at number 1, they got Georgia. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, Alabama. 4, Ohio State. 5, LSU. What do you guys think about the top? Well, you know what? I'll go with the top 10. How about 6, USC, 7, Penn State, 8, Florida State, which I think is low. 9, Clemson, and 10. Rounding out the top 10 is Tennessee. So what do you guys think about the top 10 in the coaches poll? I'll start with Matt first.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, for the most part, it's solid. I mean, I like 1, 2, and 3. I would switch Ohio State with LSU, actually. I mean, we'll get to this here in a minute if I have time. Florida State, as you said, is definitely too low. I would have them up maybe at 6. But
Above
I mean,
USC,
it's rough. I mean, you got Ohio State and Southern Cal sitting there too. So rounding it out, I mean, Tennessee should be in it, but
Joe Milton, my dark horse.
That was my dark horse last year.
He's been
well, no, your dark horse last year was Hendon Hooker. So crazy. So
Clemson, yeah, I like it. I mean, even the outside looking in teams with Washington, Texas, Notre Dame, Utah. I mean, this is a solid 14 right here, going into the season. So overall, I like it.
Christian, what do you think about the top 10?
I look at the top 2. I mean, look, Georgia, they're the cream of the crop. The last 2 natties have gone to them. I mean, they absolutely just punched TCU in the mouth. Izzy, we still talk about that dominance. And what did I tell you last year? Yeah, their defense may have been a little suspect at times last year, but the teams with championship pedigree, they know when to turn this thing on when they have to, and that's exactly what they did last year. And they're going to get stronger. They only get better and they only load. They don't break things down. Carson Beck is going to be the next starting quarterback, but I'm looking at number 2 right there, the Michigan Wolverines. I'm going to tell you guys this both. Write it down, and you can even copy me on it. I think Michigan is the only team in the country that can match Georgia from a physicality standpoint. When their heads in the game and they can play well, they can run that football. And Blake Corum, he's actually my Heisman Trophy winner this year. And I can honestly sit here and tell you, if Blake doesn't go down last year, I think they beat TCU. And we get Michigan and Georgia for the title last season at SoFi in California. But looking at number 3, Alabama, don't agree with Ohio State being number 4. I think LSU is better than Ohio State.
Absolutely.
USC, I think they're going to be figured out some this year. I don't think Caleb is going to have as strong of a year as he did last season. Penn State, they're going to be a team to watch this year. I think they have the best duo of running backs in the country, Trent Allen and Nicholas Singleton. And they're going to be big for the young quarterback this year. Then Florida State, I agree with the both of you. I think Florida State is ranked way too low. This is the most talented team that Mike Norvell has had since he's been the head coach. Clemson, okay. We'll see what they do. This is
with Klubnik.
This is Klubnik's time to shine. And then Tennessee at 10, really interested to see how they build off of last year because, I mean, after they played Alabama, I said to myself, okay, this team can make noise, but unfortunately, they ran into the Georgia Bulldogs. And, yeah, so the top 10 isn't bad. I would just take Ohio State out. I don't think Ohio State is a top 4 team in the country.
And when I look at Ohio State, I think they put in Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming. You know what I mean? Kyle McCord was Marvin Harrison Jr.'s high school teammate, so there's some report here. They think they're gonna, probably, come up to speed here. Real. I mean, they're gonna have already that relationship. But yeah, I think USC is right where they are. I think Florida State's ranked too low. I think Jordan Travis has lost some steam as well. I think he's being highly slept on before the season. I don't know what the hell is going on, but in some media pundits, he's like out of their Heisman rankings. I'm like, he's still in my Heisman rankings. So Florida State's a top 5 team in my opinion. I think Mike Norvell, you hit on the nail on the head. This is probably his most talented team ever. And then looking at the rest of the top 25, at number 11 we got Washington. Number 12 we got Texas. Number 13 Notre Dame. Number 14 Utah. 15 Oregon. 16 TCU. 17 K-State. 18 Oregon State. 19 Oklahoma. Number 20 North Carolina. At number 21 Wisconsin. 22 Mississippi. Ole Miss. Number 23 Tulane. 24 Texas Tech. And at number 12, rounding out the top 25 in the Coaches Poll is Texas A&M. Now, this isn't the AP top 25. If I could predict the AP top 25, I would think Florida State is probably going to be a little higher on this list. I think Notre Dame's right where they're at. I think, there's some shifting quarterbacks, right?
Right.
Sam Hartman's quarterback there. Notre Dame, he broke records at Wake Forest. We still got what's the quarterback from the veteran from that used to play for Washington. Godly, Michael Penix.
Michael Penix.
Yeah,
Michael Penix Jr.
is still at Washington, so he's the Heisman candidate right off bat. And then North Carolina, Drake May. Oregon State, you're gonna have DJ Uiagalelei, along with Rodriguez there or Martinez there at running back. And then at Wisconsin, they probably, Tanner Mordecai. I mean, he's a guy that I mean, they haven't had a quarterback like that. He's a transfer from SMU. So, I like this top 25 so far. I think there's going to be some changes here and there, but I think this is pretty solid from what the coaches had put together or voted in.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid too. But I'm gonna tell you this, Izzy. You know who I think is gonna be this year's version of TCU potentially? I'm gonna say the Oregon Ducks, year 2 under Dan Lanning. Bo Nix had the best year of his collegiate career, but I just need to see that defense improve. I just need to see that defense improve, and it kind of shocked me that their defense played as poorly as they did, considering that Dan Lanning is a defensive-minded guy. TCU, it's going to be a struggle for them. They lost a bulk. And, they lost the core of that title team last year. Max Duggan, and my love for Max. Like, I remember talking to you last year, Izzy, during the Big 12 title game. I'm like, look, Max Duggan, he's carrying them to the promised land. Yeah, he fell a little short, but I don't think they get to the playoffs without him last year. There's no Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
There's no Kendre Miller. And then on the defensive side, you lose Hodges Tomlinson and you lose Dylan Horton. So, the next couple of guys are going to have to step up for sure.
Yeah, and then they're gonna have a new quarterback as well, and Chandler Morris. So they're gonna have to get some. They're gonna have a lot of new guys stepping up. So TCU's got their work cut out for them coming up. But I think, Matt, what do you think about the top 25? Do you think there's gonna be some changes when the AP top 25 comes out before the season starts?
Yeah, absolutely. There are going to be a few changes, but overall, I mean, as you hear, I got to get back in here in a minute. So final word for me. As I said, overall, the top 15 is pretty solid. Outside of Florida State should be up at like 5 or 6. LSU at 3. I mean, watch out for Oregon State. Actually, both Oregon schools, I should put, and Washington. I mean, last year, the Pac, could be pretty strong there. So watch out for those teams. So Wisconsin's another one that's creeping up as they're getting their act together. after a rough season after their firing. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I'll get to you guys here shortly. Have a great show. Have a great weekend.
All right, Matt.
All right, Matt.
Check
We'll
you
talk to
out,
you
All
soon.
right.
We'll talk to
Peace.
you soon, man. All right, buddy.
man. But yeah, but going to the moving on to our predictions here, and we're here near the end of the show, Christian. This is gonna be some fun. This is gonna be fun right here. So, who do you predict that is gonna win the Big Ten this year?
I like the Michigan Wolverines. I think they're the most complete team in the country, and they're the only team in the Big Ten bringing back their quarterback from last year. Like you said, Wisconsin's breaking in Tanner Mordecai. Ohio State, they have Kyle McCord. Michigan State's going to have a new guy under center. Same with Penn State. Same with Minnesota. And Michigan just has stability and they have consistency at the most important position. And most importantly, they have depth. And I think they're just going to be a scary team once again. But here's the thing. They've won. They beat Ohio State 2 years in a row, right, Izzy? Now,
Yeah,
can they win a playoff game? That's the monkey that they have to get off their back now.
yeah, I do believe that Michigan is the cream of the crop of. I mean, it's gonna be between them and Ohio State. Also, you got Penn State. Also, you got Wisconsin's gonna be much better next season. So, I honestly believe that Michigan does win the Big Ten this year, but it's gonna be close. I mean, they're gonna have some tough games this year, but I do believe that Michigan does win another Big Ten title, and they're back in the CFP and competing for a national championship. SEC, who wins the SEC this year?
I like the Georgia Bulldogs. They're the cream of the crop in
Absolutely.
the SEC. And look, it doesn't matter. Kirby Smart, to me, is the best coach in the country. He's going to put it together. They're going to run the football, physical offensive line. Defense is going to show up, show out, and ball out when they have to. And they're going to make it easy for Carson Beck. But Carson's also going to have the best playmaking tight end in college football, and that's Brock Bowers. Have you seen this kid? Izzy, you've heard me rave about this kid.
Oh,
Six foot
yes.
five, about 200, a little under 245 pounds. Can block. They can line him wide at the wide receiver position. They can line him tight. He can block. He can block downhill. He can be an additional offensive lineman. And he's going to be that safety valve for the young quarterback.
Absolutely. Who man? I mean, yeah, it's gonna be Georgia. I mean, the defense is the defense is. I mean, Kirby Smart is the best recruiter in the nation, and he was that at
Absolutely.
Alabama. And so all he did was just reload and reload and reload and reload year after year for like 4 or 5 straight years at Georgia. And so, like, this defense that's coming up may even be better than last year's defense, right? So
Possibly.
that's scary. So I got the Georgia Bulldogs, but let's not sleep on Alabama. I mean, Alabama is gonna have their shot at it. Let's not sleep on Tennessee. The one thing that I'll say about Georgia is that the quarterback position kind of scares me, right? Because you go from Stetson Bennett to a guy Carson Beck, who I know is going to be a good fill-in, but there's going to be some growing pains there. He hasn't really played much.
No, he
and
hasn't,
so
but he could use that to his advantage. Defenses
right,
don't really have much tape on him, so I think
nope.
he has the one-up edge on any defense trying to play him. And as far as Alabama, to elaborate on that, I'm worried about their secondary because think about it. Every time they've won a natty, they've always had a guy that stood out in the secondary, whether it was Minka Fitzpatrick, whether it was Ha Clinton Dix, whether it was Pat Surtain II. They always had that guy, and teams left and right were just torching that secondary last year.
Yeah, and they lost Brian Branch to the pros. They lost a lot of guys. They lost a lot of that secondary to the pros. And like this year, Kool-Aid Kinstry comes back, but I mean they're going to start 3 new guys. I mean Trey Amos, Jalen Key, Caleb Downs. Those are all new guys that are going to start. You got Jalen Key's a grad transfer. Trey Amos is a transfer. I mean, you got guys that are going to start on this team that haven't started before. In the SEC. So and then they got a true freshman, Caleb Downs, one of the best recruits in the nation, right? So Alabama's going to come. They're going to come with it every year, but I think Georgia takes the conference this year again. Who wins the Pac-12 this year?
I like the USC Trojans. That offense is just going to be so fun to watch. I was just telling somebody this yesterday because they were actually running through the top 25 with me, just like you did. Lincoln Riley, I think, is the best offensive mind in the country. He's the Sean Payton of college football. He knows how to work with an offense. And, I just want to see what he can do with Caleb Williams now that there's a full year of tape on him. I'm just worried about USC's defense because that's the knock on Lincoln Riley teams. You know what you're going to get from them offensively, but can they put it together defensively and take pressure off that offense? But I just think they're the strongest team in the Pac-12 right now.
Three new starting offensive linemen could be an issue for USC, but I think they'll get it together. Other thing, other than that, they're very talented. When I look at USC, they have two outstanding running backs. Austin Jones, we all know, we saw him last year, but also they add Marshawn Lloyd from South Carolina, who is an exceptional running back. He could have started at South Carolina. This guy is they're going to have a nice two-headed monster there at USC. And obviously, Caleb Williams. Defensively is where I think USC will have their issues. Pretty much they're going to have a whole new offensive line as most of those guys, went to the draft. But I think that USC will win the Pac-12, but it's going to be close. I do think Washington has a good shot at Michael Penix. They played him tough last year. I think that Washington has a shot at beating, at winning the Pac-12 as well. But I'm going to go with USC just to take the safe route. But I wouldn't be surprised if Washington or Oregon were able to, beat out USC for the Pac-12 title. ACC, who wins the ACC this year? This is kind of up in the air, in my opinion. I kind of had trouble, finding who was going to win this conference.
I like the Florida State Seminoles. I'm high on them with Jordan Travis and Izzy. You've been around me long enough. I think you know my rule by now, baby. You better have game. If you got two
first names, baby,
it's only right. And Jordan Travis does. But there's one guy that I'm really watching. You may hear me mention his name a few times this year. He goes by the name of Jared Verse. I think he's going to be the best defensive player in the country this year. If he decides to declare his eligibility for the NFL draft, he would have been a top 3 pick in the spring. There's no doubt about it. Reminds me so much of Kayvon Thibodeau. He just his motor, just the way he plays, and he's everything for that defense. And I just can't wait to see Johnny Wilson and what he does and how he's going to stretch the field. Like I said, this is the most talent that Mike has had as the head coach at Florida State, and they climbed the ladder last year. Now I think they're going to elevate to the mountaintop, which is winning the ACC.
The only reason I had a tough time is one thing is, Miami's going to be better. Clemson, I think K. Klubnik is going to be for real. Obviously Florida State is the best team, I think, in the SEC. But North Carolina, I know that you've ranted about their defense being horrible, but they have a Heisman Trophy candidate in Drake May, and they have a high-powered offense as well. So that's why I say any of those 3 teams can really compete with Florida State and really push them, especially at the ACC title. So that's why I say it's a little up in the air to me, but I am going to give the nod to Florida State. But I had a tough time. I wanted to pick Clemson just because of, Dabo. Dabo's got the experience. He's going to have a good team coming back there for Clemson. But I do think that Florida State is ready to take the ACC back over, as they did when they had Jameis Winston, back in 2012, 2011. I think 10 years later, you see a guy like Jordan Travis, who's super talented. It has a great defense. Jared Verse, super talented. They have a bevy of wide receivers. They have a great offensive line. This team is very talented. I'm actually going to go with the Florida State Seminoles. Big 12. Who wins the Big 12 this year?
I'm going to go with the Texas Longhorns. I think on paper, they have the best roster. And Quinn Ewers comes back. Yeah, they're gonna miss Bijan Robinson and Demarvion Overshown is gonna be gone
Mm-hmm.
too. But I think Steve Sarkisian is gonna put together what he has, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for the Texas Bulldogs to show, hey, we're back, because they've been knocking at the door. Now, can they finally get in? I think that's the $1 million question right there. Their offense is as good as anyone. You have Xavier Worthy, you have Jatavian
Mm-hmm.
Sanders, the tight end coming back. Another guy, kind of like a hybrid, kind of reminds me of Isaiah Lovely, who plays for the Baltimore Ravens. That tight end stuck in the body of a wide receiver, kind of like that Julius Thomas mix, who used to play for the
Mm-hmm.
Denver Broncos. But no, I like Texas, and we're gonna see what Texas is really made of in week 2 when they have to go to Tuscaloosa. Izzy,
Well, they played them tough last year in
they
Texas.
did, they
So,
did, and I can honestly sit here and tell you, if Quinn doesn't go down, I honestly think they win that game.
well, if Quinn goes down this year, you got Arch Manning to come in the game and see what's going on with it. So, you know,
Facts.
man, you got Texas.
I do.
This is another hard one. I like Texas. I think they're gonna have a nice offense this year. I think they're bringing back offensive line. I think the defense is gonna step up a little bit this year. But you know what, man? I'm actually gonna go Oklahoma this year, man. I'm actually gonna go with Oklahoma to win the Big 12 this year.
Okay.
Dylan Gabriel, who was putting up stats. I mean, if it wasn't for the concussion that he had, the concussion issues that he had, I mean, this team was on fire. I think Brent Venables was able to recruit his guys. We all know he's a defensive coach. He's improving another year of that defense coming into form. I think that Oklahoma is going to put it all together on both sides of the football. I think they're going to get it done. I like the Oklahoma Sooners to win the Big 12 this year.
Okay. Yeah, we can't agree on all of them. Look, this makes for good content for the show, Izzy.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Texas. But look, I mean, Texas is returning 15 starters. I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, they're looking great so far this year. I mean, Oklahoma. I mean, like I said, I think they're going to push them. There's going to be, TCU. We can't count them out. I mean, they're adding 4 new teams. I don't think those 4 new teams, BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, I don't think they're gonna have to get acclimated to playing a 1-up in competition. Not so much. I think Cincinnati and BYU won't have much of an issue as UCF and Houston will. But I do think that, like I said, it's going to come down between Oklahoma and Texas. With Texas being the favorite on your side, but I like Oklahoma.
Okay.
AAC, who wins the AAC this year?
I like
This one should
Tulane.
be a little easier.
I like Tulane. I think, look, they have an offense that they're almost like a basketball team on the football field, the way they space things out. And I just look at the problems they gave USC last year in the Cotton Bowl. And, man, I love that quarterback. I can't think of his name right now, but they're well coached. Defensively, they do just enough to get off the field. And, I just think they're the most stacked team in the conference.
Yeah, my pick's Tulane as well. And the quarterback you're talking about, I think is Godly. It's not Michael Pratt. Godly is I think he got
it
drafted
is.
this year.
No,
Is it Michael Pratt?
I believe so.
Yeah. And then they lost the running back. Godly, he got drafted this year too. They had Tajay Spears. They lost Tajay Spears this past year, and I mean this team beat USC. In the Sugar Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, it was the Cotton Bowl. It was the
Cotton Bowl. I said Sugar Bowl. Cotton Bowl. They beat them in the Cotton Bowl last year. So, so yeah, this team is coming in with a lot of swagger this year. I think that they're coming back with some real high guys. But if I had to pick a team that might push them, I'd probably have to think, maybe a Memphis, maybe. I'm having a tough time trying to find a team. I'm just like pretty much, trying to find a team that's gonna push Tulane this year. But I don't see it. Maybe UTSA. UTSA had a pretty good run last year as well. The Road Runners. So we'll see. But I do like Tulane to win the to win the AAC this year. It's gotten a little weaker, right? With those 4 teams
Absolutely.
with
It
Cincinnati,
did.
Houston, and UCF leaving the conference. So I do like Tulane to win that conference as well, Christian. But anyways, that's been a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Love talking college football here on College Football Showdown. Like I said, the season is 15 days away. So keep it locked in. We'll come back with another episode of College Football Showdown here just a week prior before week 1 starts as we get ramped up and we start all over again, Christian, with our week 1 predictions here. I know we did it a month ago, but things change. So we'll come back
Of
here
course.
in another week or so and predict the week 1 college football and get ready for week 1 college football and maybe talk about the AP top 25 as well. But anyways, everybody, thanks for joining the show. And in case you missed us, you can catch us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, and catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard, ladies and gentlemen. And remember to please like and share and subscribe to Prime Sports World here, keeping it locked in 24/7, bringing the heat, Christian. But anyways, it's been a great doozy. And as I like to say, everybody, in case I miss you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.
I always like to end it by saying one thing, Izzy. Holla at your boy.
Holla at your boy, baby. Sayonara, suckers.
Yes, sir.